In this video, I'm going to run you guys through exactly how you can get rid of the chest fat and actually build an aesthetic looking chest. Now, this is an area that I know a lot of guys are quite self-conscious about. Like, guys don't want to have boobs. They don't have man boobs. They don't want to feel like they haven't got that nice aesthetic chest look, which pretty much every guy's going to want. So hopefully by the time you get to the end of this video, you're going to know exactly the no BS way to actually build an aesthetic chest and get rid of those man boobs for good. Now, the first thing that I will say, guys, is that you absolutely cannot spot reduce fat. So everything I'm about to explain in this video, it still comes down to the absolute fundamentals, which are being in a calorie deficit and consuming enough protein. And this is the first thing that I'm going to get onto. Think of losing fat like draining a swimming pool. You cannot decide which areas you would like to drain first. It's always going to come from the shallow end and then the deep end last. The deep end is your stubborn fat. Shallow end is the fat that you just lose really quickly. For some of you guys watching this, the chest fat might be some of the stubborn areas. For guys, typically, they carry a lot of fat around their stomach and often again around their chest. And this is the thing that can start to come in towards the end. So you have to be in a consistent calorie deficit. You cannot do certain chest exercises and expect that to actually get rid of the fat. That is only going to improve the level of muscle mass there, which you will not be able to see until you've actually lost the fat. So what's the absolute most fundamental part of getting rid of the chest fat is making sure you're in a calorie deficit. How do we get ourselves in a calorie deficit? Well, I've got plenty of videos on the channel that you can probably go away and watch, but I'll make this very, very simple for you guys. The first thing you can do is you can work out your calories, which are probably going to be around 10 to 12 calories per pound of your body weight. This is a really easy way without going into too much complication of just putting yourself in a calorie deficit. So that's the first thing you can do. And after that, you want to focus on making sure that you're consuming enough protein. So if we don't get our protein intake correct, then you'll probably end up losing muscle, which is simply just going to mean that your physique is just still not going to look the way that you want it to look. Still a bit soft. So it's super important that calories, protein, we're in a calorie deficit, and then we are actually going to start to lose the fat consistently, which is really what we want to do. And just to be clear as well on this, guys, you cannot turn fat into muscle. This is what a lot of guys seem to think, that they're going to kind of turn this fat around their body into muscle. I mean, that's just not how it works, right? We lose the fat and we build muscle. They are two separate processes. One often requires eating less food, the other requires eating more food, like building muscle. So typically what we're doing when we're losing body fat is we're pretty much just preserving the amount of muscle tissue that we've already got, but it ends up looking obviously a lot better, like we've got more muscle than what we actually would have had with the fat covering this initially. So that's pretty much what the goal is when it comes to body recomposition. It's increasing levels of muscle mass by actually dropping body fat so that your body has higher levels of muscle, which is what makes you look way more aesthetic. So that's the first part of this whole process. Please don't think that without actually solving the big problem here of being in a calorie deficit, you're going to lose the chest fat, because you can do all the chest exercises that you like. It's not really going to make a massive difference until you've actually lost the fat there first, which is going to come down to being in a calorie deficit. So that's the first part that I would say. After that, this is where the training can actually start to make a little bit more sense, and you can actually start to build your chest up a little bit more from the right training selection. So firstly is you don't need to be training massive chest days. This is actually a massive myth, and I would not recommend this to many people unless you're a bodybuilder, unless you're potentially enhanced, unless you've got all the time in the world to go and train and you're happy to go and train 6-7 days per week, which is just not realistic for most people. So what we actually want to do is we want to be hitting our chest more frequently rather than just doing a massively high volume day once per week. That's not really the best way to train. So rather than a chest day and doing like 8 exercises for your chest in one session, which there is a point in diminishing returns very quickly when you train, after the first few exercises, you're probably not benefiting that much more from your chest anymore. So you'd be better off training another body part, which is why it makes way more sense to do push exercises at the start of the week, maybe then go and do an upper body session at the end of the week, where we're basically hitting our chest twice a week, or even 3 times a week if we're doing full body sessions, where we're getting the most maximum stimulus throughout the week, where it's being activated several times. This is a much faster way to building muscle on your chest rather than just doing it once per week. Okay, so ideally, let's say you're training 4 days per week, which I think is the sweet spot for most guys that really want to have a seriously good physique. 4 days per week, you might choose to train push day on a Monday, and then you might train upper body day on the Thursday or a Friday. And in those sessions, you might have at least 2 chest exercises per workout, and you roughly want to be aiming for probably around 10 to 20 working sets across the entire week. You might decide in your push day, you're going to focus on an incline press, and then you might do a chest fly, and then in your upper day, you might focus on doing dips and then maybe doing some push-ups or something like that to finish on, right? So we're basically accumulating across the week between 10 and 20 working sets per that muscle group, which is going to allow us to progress, see the benefits, see levels of muscle mass increase. Now, in terms of the type of exercises that you actually do, you want to focus on a range of different exercises for your chest. Now, my go-to exercise every single time when it comes to building the most aesthetic part of your chest, it's going to be an incline dumbbell press. Now, I actually think that prioritizing incline movements for a guy are actually going to give you a lot more bang for your buck with your chest, simply because I think that the aesthetic part and that kind of shelf looking type of chest that guys want often comes from really hitting the upper pecs, right? So if we're doing incline movement, incline flies, incline press ups, all these kind of things, it's just going to hit this area a little bit more. So I would be focusing more on incline movements and then a few flat movements in there as well. I haven't really done any decline movements for quite a long time. It just hasn't really been something I felt like I needed to do. So I would simply focus more on those two. And like I said, incline presses, you could do incline dumbbell press, incline Smith machine press. You could do an incline barbell bench press. Just be careful not to tear your pec like I did. Then you can do things like cable flies, which again are very good for building more shape in your chest. You want to think of the pressing movements as to more building the density, and then your flies are going to hit more isolation work. So it's kind of building a little bit more tone, a little bit more shape. So the combination of both of those exercises is going to work really well when it comes to developing your chest overall. So just to kind of summarize, guys, this is very, very, very simple. You cannot turn fat into muscle, so please don't think that by doing a bunch of chest exercises, you're all of a sudden going to turn the man boobs into having pecs, because that's just not how this works. You lose the fat first, you make sure you are in a consistent calorie deficit, and you make sure you're consuming a high amount of protein every single day so that your body loses fat and not muscle. Once you've actually started to lose the fat, which some of this is going to be coming from around your chest, you're then going to build the muscle properly underneath, which is going to come down to training execution, the right training selection, again, the diet, of course, which is going to enhance your training a lot more, and being consistently doing that as well. And the biggest goal of your training is that you want to focus on trying to get stronger. So your chest exercises, you should be constantly trying to improve on. Like your incline dumbbell press every single week. Try and get more weight out. I think most guys should be aiming to get to at least 30 kilos for an incline dumbbell press. I think this is a sign that you've got a pretty strong upper body, and also get good at dips as well. I think if you can start to master dips and you can perform at least 20, even 25 body weight dips without taking a break, again, this is a really good sign of a very strong, masculine upper body as well. So follow these tips, and I hope this helps you get rid of the chest fat, helps you feel less self-conscious with wearing your t-shirts and your shirts, and you actually start to have a physique you're a lot more proud of. And if you found this video useful, make sure you smash the like button, make sure you subscribe for future videos. As always, guys, I will catch you in the next one.